Alrighty, hey guys, it's Amanda. I am back for another video. In today's video, I'm just going to be getting ready. I recently got out of the shower and we're about to go on and do our errands for today. So I figured I would go ahead and film it since I haven't uploaded anything. With everything going on in the world today, I just haven't had it in me to really try and sit down and upload anything. I feel like if I try and talk on the George Floyd situation and the Black Lives Matter, I may say something without meaning to offend anybody just due to lack of education or offend anybody. So I just feel more comfortable by not covering the topic. I do stand with Black Lives Matter. I do believe I'm an ally, but I don't want to try and educate anybody on that or talk about that because I'm not really one to be able to give a good perspective as a Caucasian female. So I'm not going to discuss anything about that. I just wanted to put it out there that I do support them, and I'm doing what I can on my end personally to try and help and sign petitions and donate and do things to that nature, but I don't feel this is going to be topic for me to discuss. So with that and everything like that being so serious, I don't feel comfortable really talking about my story. I wanted to give it a couple of days, so just to break myself back in. Today I'm just going to do my makeup as I have to do it to get ready for today, and just kind of chit chat a little bit, I guess. I don't have anything particular in mind to discuss. I'm not really using this as a tutorial, just kind of to let everybody know that I am still gonna be uploading and staying as consistent as possible, but I just was trying to give it a couple of days. I just had put on my moisturizer prior to hopping on. For the primer I just used, it was the Tatcha Silk Canvas Primer. And for foundation, this is a new one that I'm trying. It's the Anastasia Beverly Hills foundation that they came out with. I've used it one other time. I think in my last video is when I first used it. And it looked okay. I didn't keep my makeup on for very long. I typically am filming after I get off work. So I take my makeup off and then I film and put more makeup on and then I take it off again. So I didn't really get to see the longevity of it, so I'm going to wear it today and see how it wears. I'm not really focusing this as a review or anything like that. It's just kind of telling you guys what I'm using and if it's new, what my thoughts are on it. I guess in a way that's kind of a review, but I'm not focusing any of my videos at this point to be reviews. I don't feel like I'm necessarily qualified, if that makes sense. I've discussed a little bit about my makeup journey here and there, just so it didn't seem so silly that I was doing my makeup as I talked about things. But I guess since I don't have a script, so to speak, or any particular topics in particular to talk about today, I guess I can kind of talk about that. So growing up in high school, I always kind of did a little bit of makeup. I always did like a little bit of eyeshadow and then some eyeliner and mascara. I didn't really wear foundation or anything like that. I actually didn't start wearing foundation until about 3 or 4 years ago. I had clearer skin back then and didn't have all of the discoloration that I do now. I have freckles, my skin tone, like my undertone's kind of pink. So as I got older, I felt a little bit more subconscious about it and was looking for ways to maybe conceal a little bit of that a little better. So that's really what started me into doing foundation. I had started collecting the makeup that I currently own about 4 or 5 years ago. I'd say when the Naked palettes were first released by Urban Decay, that's really when I started to collect any makeup, and that was those palettes as they released were like the palettes that I purchased first and kind of started watching YouTube and trying to teach myself how to apply it a little bit better so it looked good, following tutorials and things like that. But as I've said before, I'm not I know I'm not like the best at makeup. I think it looks passable. It's not a mess most of the time. Not all of the time. It ends up halfway decent. But that's where it really began, and since then I've kind of found it anytime I sit down to do my makeup for fun, or just even when I'm getting ready for the day, it's like a peaceful time for me. It just kind of sets me up for the day, puts me in a relaxed mood to get everything going. So I've just kind of continued to collect it over the years. I watch a lot of different beauty influencers and try to follow people who have similar skin types to me or preferences to me, and kind of take their recommendations and go from there and see if they work for me. That's kind of how I've done. So I don't really feel it's a good place for me to come on here and try and teach people, because I'm still learning and not very educated in like how things work, other than like what I see other people do. So maybe if I get good enough or confident enough, I'll attempt to do some kind of tutorial, but I'm not quite there. For my concealer, I use the Too Faced Born This Way concealer, and for the powder, I just use the Rimmel Stay Matte. It's a good drugstore powder to set everything down. For my bronzer, I'm just gonna use the Fenty Beauty powder, not the, I tried the cream the other day and I don't know how well that turned out. It was more of a contour color on my skin tone, so I'm still learning how to really finagle with cream products over powder products. I feel more comfortable with powder products. Anyways, how are your guys' day going? It's Saturday for me. I tend to try and film and upload pretty quickly, so you guys will probably see this on Saturday. Still haven't quite figured out the editing thing. I guess part of this channel is just like learning how to do things at the like operate YouTube and how to work on stuff. I don't know if there's classes out there. I'm sure if I looked into it, there's probably other creators who have videos walking through how to do all that stuff. I've tried to download a couple of different programs and tried to edit, but I don't know how to work the software. So I spent several hours on a video I had filmed and didn't upload because there were parts I had intended to get cut out that would have looked really weird and not made any sense if I left them in, because it wasn't me talking. And I had said, oh, I'm gonna cut this part out. And then I couldn't figure it out. So I tried and I tried and I tried, and I just couldn't figure it out. And I didn't really, it was late, so it didn't dawn on me to maybe try and find a video and have them walk me through it. But so at this point in time, my videos, as you can probably tell, are unedited. I apologize for that. As I learn, I'll probably get better. My lighting's not the best either. I finagled with everything in here for about 45 minutes before I just gave up and said that this is gonna be good enough. I've got like a little ring light, and then I have my makeup lights on my vanity, and it's very sunny out, so I was gonna try to use natural lighting, but that didn't pan out either, because if I open that window, it whitewashes everything because it's too bright. And I tried to move like this little tripod thing around to get it to not whitewash, and it didn't work. It stayed whitewashed. So I just went to the setup I've kind of been using in my last couple of videos. So I know it at least is kind of okay. You can see me and I'm not like a white screen. For blush, I use the GRWM, what is this? This one, the GRWM palette. And then I just used a City Chic eyeshadow for my highlight. I'm light enough, my skin tone is light enough that I can oftentimes use shimmery eyeshadows as my highlight. And I don't always wear highlight, it kind of just depends on my mood. For my eyeshadow today, I am going to be using the Huda Beauty Nude in Medium. This is probably going to be a really basic, simple look because we're just really going to be running errands and stuff like that today. We're not gonna, I think I'm going to look down at my mirror. We don't have anything other than errands to run, so just gonna do something simple and basic, probably something that ends up being the look I wear to work, or a little bit less subtle because this is a darker color than what I usually will start off with, but we'll see if I can figure it out. So how are you guys feeling with the state of everything going on? Aside from the pandemic, everything else that's been kind of being brought to social media. I know the Stoffers are still being discussed and people are finding more and more information. I know I stated I didn't want to do another video, and I really don't. I don't want to continue to drag it out. However, some of the discussions that are occurring now and some of the things that are happening within that family, from what the news outlets and the police officers in their county are providing, are really serious, and I don't know if I could even really provide anything more than what other individuals have put out there. Without a crystal ball, she's been wonderful. She's kept up with it despite having some things going on that she's been having to deal with in her personal life, which I'm not going to discuss here. If you're interested, you can go watch her videos. But she's kept up with the topic really well and has maintained providing updates and letting everybody know what's been going on. She's gotten some interviews from people who knew that family personally. So, I mean, with her videos and a couple of others, I'm very cautious when things like this occur on who I rely on for information, because it was kind of brought to light that one of the individuals who was on Twitter and providing a lot of information, that some of the information she was letting everybody know and showing as true wasn't. She was making it up. And just kind of cutting to conclusions. And that's scary, especially when you're talking about the life of an innocent child who is unfortunately put in a terrible situation at no fault of his own. So I'm not really sure if I feel comfortable talking about it. From a professional standpoint, I could provide my 2 cents as working in child welfare in Florida, so I know the laws and how things operate there. I don't know how they operate in Ohio. I don't know how they operate here in Utah. I'm not currently working in child welfare at the moment. So, I mean, I could provide my professional opinion and how things typically operate if that's something anybody's interested in. I can provide that. Also, as far as like how adoptions go, part of my story is my adoption story. I was domestically adopted, so I can only provide information and context related to how my situation was, and being this was an international adoption, as everybody has kind of discussed and made points of, because it is important that the situations are handled differently. So I don't know if you guys are interested in it. I definitely would be willing. And I'm not opposed to it. I just really don't want to ride out, like having to feel the need to constantly talk about this family. Although I think it is important that the information's put out there and that people are aware of how things happen, because this isn't, I mean, it's sad that this is the one that's been publicized and everybody's known about, but this isn't the first time it's happened. And unfortunately, it's definitely not going to be the last either. So it's really sad, and awareness does need to be brought to it. And like I said, I don't mind talking about it, but I also have made the statement that I didn't want to, and I'm torn. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to get at, is I'm really torn right now on whether or not I should try and discuss it more, or if I should just let it go and let the other channels who are already covering it so well continue to do so, and just refer you guys to those sources. If that's where I gained a lot of my subscribers, so I don't know if that's like what they're really interested in, is that topic in particular, or like just being an advocate for this community. I don't know. So if you guys could just kind of drop some comments down below and kind of let me know your thoughts on if you think I should maybe cover what's been transpiring, if you want me to cover it from a professional and someone who worked, I don't want to say professional because I'm not currently in that field, but from someone who was working in child welfare, or if you want to cover it from my personal opinion. I mean, just let me know, because like I said, I don't have anything against it. I will do it. I just feel like other creators are covering it, and I'm a small channel. Not to say that my opinion and my knowledge is not worthy, but I don't want to kind of make the subscribers I've gained feel like I'm beating a dead horse. So you guys just let me know. If you could, just let me know down below, and I keep an eye on it. I try to interact with you guys. I can't always comment back, but I do try to like acknowledge you in some form or fashion. I do work, like I've stated, I work a normal 9-to-5 job, so it's kind of hard for me to respond to everybody all the time. And in these more recent videos that I've uploaded, I don't have as much, I haven't had as many comments to interact with. So I would like to build a good, relationship and rapport with you guys, kind of to be able to provide you what you want me to, other topics that you want to discuss, because I'm not trying to close myself off into one section or one topic. I am primarily focusing on talking about my story and just bringing awareness. But aside from like that being a topic I will probably continue to discuss, I know not everybody is interested in that information. Not everybody can tolerate listening to that. Some people would rather not know. And I understand that. I do. It's serious stuff, and it's hard to hear people kind of talk about their misfortunes in life, especially when you're talking about it from when you were a kid. It's hard to kind of hear that and not feel bad, but that's kind of where I'm going, is I don't want people to feel bad for everything I've experienced or anything I've talked about this far. I don't want you to feel bad. And as I continue telling the story of how I experienced everything, I never want anybody to feel bad for me. You'll see it turns out to be a pretty happy story in the end. There's definitely some bumps and hard parts along the way, which is the next section that I will be covering, is an emotional part for me. And I think that's a little bit of why I've kind of delayed talking about it, aside from everything else going on, is I want to make sure I'm prepared to talk about it. I feel I am, or else I wouldn't have started this journey, but I don't want to break down while I'm filming it. And there's a couple of parts that are really emotional for me. I did try to film it before everything really went out with George Floyd, because I don't want to try and overshine that by any means. I did try to film it, and I got super emotional, and it was kind of not hard for me to watch back, but it was just, I don't want to put my viewers in that situation. I do want it to be raw and for you guys to see the emotion, but I don't want it to make it hard for you guys to watch, because without being able to watch, then it's kind of defeating the purpose of me trying to bring awareness and educate people on how to handle those situations. So I have kind of gone through a couple of things while I've just been rambling. On the glittery parts on my eye, I use the Kaja Bento Box in Rose Water. And then for mascara, I use the Fenty Beauty, the new mascara. I don't even know if this, is that what it's called? It might be called Full Frontal. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if that's the name or what, but it looks like this. So I know I have done quite a bit of rambling in this video, and I hope anything that I have said hasn't really offended anybody. I know I've brought up a couple of super sensitive topics throughout, and I haven't discussed them. I'm really struggling to kind of get my thoughts out. Obviously, I keep stuttering. I hope I haven't offended anybody. Like, I haven't gone into detail about too much in relation to particularly the George Floyd situation, Black Lives Matter. And it's not because I don't want to bring awareness or anything like that. It's more because I don't want to say the wrong thing just because I'm not super educated. I'm not an individual who is struggling with the things that they are struggling through and have been for years. So I don't really feel that I could provide a good explanation. I understand where they're coming from. I wish it wasn't getting to a point where it's so violent in the communities. However, in the same token, I do understand where the Black community is coming from. Oh man. See, this is what I'm talking about. I can't do like tutorials or anything because this kind of stuff happens, and unlike other beauty gurus, because I'm sure this stuff happens to them too, they just know how to clip it out and make it seem like they're just perfect at it. I can't do that. So it's like, oh, my flaws and my errors are for everybody to see. And then we can see if I can actually fix it in a halfway decent manner. So I guess I'm not going to sign off now. I was going to, but I'm not going to now because I have a big spot of brown. Sorry, I've got to reach behind you guys. I got a big spot of brown on my eyebrow bone. So we'll just get a little bit of micellar water and a little cleaning pad, and we'll see if this can do the trick. Because I do have to go out in public, so I would like to not look like I just left that there while going to the grocery store and stuff. So we'll see. I'm sure it's going to take off some of the eyeshadow that was up there that was blended out. We'll see if I can maybe fix that a little bit. This is ended up way longer now due to my lovely mistake. Sorry about that. Take one of my brushes that still has some of the pigment from when I was blending and just kind of go over that little spot. All right. And typically I set my face at the end with Morphe Continuous Setting Spray. It's really fine. And it's the only setting spray that I have found that actually like locks in my makeup. I've used to use the Urban Decay All Nighter, and I was like one of those, oh, what do you call it? Like bandwagoners. Who was like all about it, like, oh yeah, this is the best one, you can't use anything else. Well, once I used this, I realized that it's not bad by any means. It still does the same thing, but this Morphe one, I don't know if it's because the mist is so fine that it actually like locks it in more. I don't know. I'm rambling. It's been a couple of days since I've tried to film anything, so it's kind of like I'm starting all over, which is why I wanted to try and stick and be consistent just to prevent this from happening, because I feel like I'm having to get used to kind of sitting back in front of the camera and talking. Anyways, guys, well, I appreciate you kind of sitting and hopefully providing some feedback for me in the comments, and just watching me do my makeup as I get ready for the day. If you're not subscribed, if you could subscribe and leave a comment down below if anything I have talked about, if you have an opinion on how I should move forward with those topics. Otherwise, I am hoping, even though I've talked about struggling, I'm hoping to get out my next part of my experience in foster care and adoption, hopefully tomorrow. I've kind of realized some days it's hard for me to film after work, so I'm gonna try and get it filmed tomorrow, and maybe I'll upload it tomorrow since I have lacked this week. But I don't want to promise that. I don't know if my husband has anything planned that I don't know about. So that kind of is how this household works. So anyways, guys, until next time, I hope you're having a good day, evening, whatever time, wherever you are in the world. And I will see you next time. Bye.